I'm like a marketing junkie at heart. I was always interested in like film and writing growing up, but then I realized I
Okay.
didn't really have like the skill set, or maybe I couldn't quite get there, but I loved advertising, loved marketing.
What OMG Commerce is and what you guys specialize in?
So we're a performance marketing agency and we help brands grow. So we help brands unlock new channels of growth to create profitable growth and to find new customers. That's what we do.
How would you summarize OMG Commerce's marketing philosophy, and how do you like to work with the brands that you actually bring on?
We want to create profitable growth. Almost always we're unlocking a new channel for our brands, or we're revitalizing channels that are underperforming. We bring a philosophy to YouTube, but to all channels where we can create predictable, profitable growth.
Hey everybody, thank you for tuning in. My name is Andres Figueira and I'm going to be your host for the day. This show is brought to you by the Global Talent Company, helping fast-growing teams hire exceptional remote talent from Argentina, South Africa, and beyond. We connect companies with world-class professionals who bring skill, reliability, and a global perspective to every role. And just for our listeners, we're offering an exclusive 10% discount on your first hire. All you need to do is visit globaltalent.co, click Start Hiring, and mention the podcast listener discount when we reach out. And today, with me here is Brett Curry, CEO and co-founder at OMG Commerce, a performance-driven e-commerce marketing agency that uses different channels to create specialized ads for your business. And with that said, Brett, how is it going? It's a pleasure to have you on the show, man.
What's up, man? Thanks for having me. Delighted to be here and love talking marketing, consumer marketing, the future of marketing, all good stuff. So yeah, glad to be here.
Amazing, man. Yeah, it really is a pleasure for us as well. And Brett, just so that we can get the audience a bit more in context as to who you are, what you've done, would you be able to tell us a bit more about your background and, in your own words, what OMG Commerce is and what you guys specialize in?
Yeah, absolutely. So OMG Commerce, we're a performance marketing agency. We still love good brands and we love kind of brand performance type marketing, but we focus more on retail brands. So D2C e-commerce brands and omnichannel retail brands. So brands that are selling in physical stores like Walmart and Target, those are selling on Amazon, those are selling D2C. And we love brands that sell in all three. And we help brands grow. So we help brands unlock new channels of growth to create profitable growth and to find new customers. That's what we do. And we love kind of all the elements of good advertising. We understand how important creative is. We understand how important media is. We understand how important measurement is. And so we feel like we've got a good blend to bring all of those together and execute for our clients. And really kind of going back, though, I'm like a marketing junkie at heart. I was always interested in like film and writing growing up, but then I realized I didn't really have like the skill set, or maybe I couldn't quite get there, but I loved advertising, loved marketing. I got a job in radio when I was in college, and I loved like what ads cause people to respond, what ads don't, what can good advertising unlock for a business. So that's when I kind of got fired up about it. Started doing some TV back in the day, but then really fell in love with online marketing. And what I found is that we did a lot of search marketing. I had a TV background, and then eventually we were like, wait, YouTube kind of combines all of these. Like we've really got a niche in YouTube advertising, but respect all digital marketing channels. And so, yeah, that's a quick bit about us. We're a team of about 40. We've won we're on the Inc. 500 list a couple times, Inc. 5000 list, sorry.
Okay.
Inc. 5000 list, best workplaces list, things like that. So won some cool awards, won some Google Agency Excellence Awards and things like that. So
Wow, that's amazing, Brett. And being in TV and radio, I can now tell by your voice and how you manage yourself. I can totally see the experience.
I was
there.
mostly on the advertising side, but we get a little bit of a radio voice. That's what I've been told anyway. So.
And Brett, in terms of, you mentioned that then OMG Commerce is more D2C and you love omni-channel brands. Is there a reason why you've decided to specialize in that specific part of consumers and their goods? Or is there any other reason why, like, you might know that you want that?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I've always loved good consumer brands. So why does somebody buy Nike over Adidas, or why does somebody choose this brand of coffee over that brand of coffee? I've always been fascinated by that. But in the early days, it was because e-commerce brands, they had bigger online budgets, right? So it was more fun because you had like more money to play with there. And then everything was trackable. So I came from an offline world where I helped like car dealerships, jewelry stores, service-based businesses, and we were running TV and radio and offline stuff. Harder to track. You could do it, but it was harder to track. And so when I started doing e-commerce marketing, I was like, wait a minute, there's so much data here. I can see ad, click, behavior. Obviously, it's a lot more complex than that, but love that there are big budgets and the data was readily accessible, and it kind of felt like the big leagues, early on. But we've been focusing exclusively now on D2C and retail brands since 2016.
Okay, wow, that's amazing. And I can see that OMG Commerce has been around since 2010, if I'm not mistaken.
2010, yeah.
Okay, it's
Yeah.
been a while.
It's been a while, man. Yeah, we did some SEO back in the day, like went through all the big algorithm changes. We don't do SEO anymore. I love SEO, but it's a difficult game to be in. But it was good for us for a long, long time. But yeah, seen all kinds of major changes, major sea changes online.
Of course. No, and I know SEO is not dead, but it has now mutated into AI SEO is what I like to call it, because you got to be able to appear in the AI's summarization of what can be found online. Because if you're not there, then you're probably not going to get much clicks.
Totally, yeah. And I think it's like just as a side note. And again, this is not what we do, but I understand it pretty well. It's like a mix of, hey, I got to get all the right data. So is my data structured properly on my website? Do I have all the right information about products and images and things like that? Am I getting enough reviews? Because now the AI is looking at what are people saying about this product? What are the links to my site? Who else is referencing my site? Things like that. So a lot of it is like good SEO, but just not the spammy SEO, just the good stuff.
Exactly.
Tends to translate to good AI optimization as well.
Oh my goodness. And then Brett, I understand now that you guys don't specialize in that, but how would you summarize like OMG Commerce's marketing philosophy, and how do you like to work with the brands that you actually bring on?
Yeah, so we want to create profitable growth. Almost always we're unlocking a new channel for our brands, or we're revitalizing channels that are underperforming. And so a lot of the brands that come to us because we're known as a YouTube agency. We do much more than that, but we're really, really good at YouTube for retail specifically. And so that's why a lot of people come to us, is they're like, hey, Meta's pretty good for us. Google search is fine. We can't crack the code on YouTube, so help us do that. And so we bring a philosophy to YouTube, but to all channels, where we can create predictable, profitable growth. And so we help with everything from the creative strategy side. We're not a true creative agency. We partner with a lot of other creative shops.
Okay.
But we think about creative. We think about what is our right media mix, informed by incrementality and multi-touch attribution and in-platform measurement. All of those things need to kind of come together. And then, how are we crafting a media strategy to execute on all that? And then how are we constantly improving, constantly taking better action, constantly getting better?
Okay. Now, and I love how you mentioned that you really steered into this type of like digital advertising for retail, and the fact that you can see the data and you can actually provide tangible results and explain how it got better or what you did. And in that term, do you have any example of a good campaign that you ran or that you created on YouTube that worked really well? We don't need to mention brands, but just the example of.
Yeah, I'll mention a couple, and actually I can mention one of the brands. The other one I'll just kind of talk about the category. But one is an Omnichannel brand, a longtime client now, but Arctic Coolers, RTIC, Arctic Coolers. They're a Yeti competitor. Great product. My favorite drinkware, my favorite coolers, just outstanding. Their philosophy is overbuilt, not overpriced. So it's like, hey, you get all the performance, all the function, all the style of like a Yeti, or higher priced, but for 30 to 40% lower cost, that type of thing. And so we started running YouTube ads for them right at the time they were launching in Walmart. So they're now in Walmart coast to coast. And so they came to us and said, hey, can we use YouTube to drive in-store measurable sales to Walmart? We said yes. And so we worked with our data science team. We came up with about 16 test markets where we could run YouTube ads. They had brilliant creative. It was kind of a mix of like fun branding stuff of people taking a wheeled cooler to the beach and camping and in their backyard and stuff like that, mixed with creator content. So this outdoor creator named Chase. He created ads where he's like, hauling a cooler 30 miles an hour behind his razor through the woods, and it's getting all beat to crap. But it holds true. He's kicking it off his front porch, stuff like that. So high brand content, great creator content, and then some user-based stuff. And so we built these campaigns across these 16 markets. They have a data science team. We measured Walmart sales, Walmart retail data from Walmart. And we did about an 8-week test. And what we saw was tremendous. Across those 16 markets, we saw anywhere from like a 25% lift to a 45% lift in sales for those markets versus comparable markets without the YouTube advertising. Mm-hmm. They did a connected TV test at the same time that saw almost no incremental lift, and so we had a high degree of confidence the YouTube was working. We actually won a Google Agency Excellence Award for that. But now we do that on the regular for Arctic. We're running media, but we're testing then how is that impacting Amazon sales, how is that impacting D2C sales, how is it impacting retail sales. And so with this, it was a combination of we had the right creative, we had the right media strategy, and then we really thought through measurement going into the campaign, during the campaign, after the campaign, that sort of thing. So we had clear, actionable data when that was done. So that's one of my favorite examples, and that's one we can talk about at length. I can share numbers on that one because we had approval to do that. Another one, this was a snack product. So online snack product, amazing snack. I don't have approval to share the brand name, but this was all D2C. And so what we did, they were doing really well on Meta. Google was fine, but that's kind of how they're going. Apple 11 was doing good for them. Could not get YouTube to work. So we helped them kind of craft some UGC mashup videos. We got a partner that does that. So UGC mashup videos, and they got some videos from one of our favorite partners, Raindrop, that does kind of like bigger productions. So we started running YouTube, and they quickly, like almost right out of the gate, started matching their Meta CPAs or Meta CAC, customer acquisition costs, with YouTube, but that was all measuring D2C sales. And so that doesn't always happen. Sometimes, like YouTube, sometimes takes a little longer to optimize than Meta or other platforms. But those are two great examples. One strictly D2C, one omnichannel, where YouTube really unlocked new growth for those brands.
Wow, that's amazing. You mentioned Arctic, and it's so funny because in Venezuela, I was able to go there about 3 years ago. I went to visit my family at one point, and Yeti was the whole deal there. Everybody was going crazy about Yeti and everything like that.
Dude, they've done an amazing job with their branding. Yeti, you got to tip your hat. They've done an amazing job with branding. Yeah.
No, for real. But then Arctic popped into the market in Venezuela, and it was like so weird because we had never seen that brand before, and now it really is something that stands alongside Yeti, and people tend to buy Arctic as well, and they speak super well about the product and everything like that. So it's super cool that you guys were able to help drive their sales in the States as well, because I vouch for that brand too. I've had my own Yeti my own Arctic at one point, and it really is a great product.
The coolers are tough, man. The coolers are fantastic. The wheeled coolers are so smooth, so sturdy. And then, just to geek out a little bit, I am a coffee fan. I mentioned coffee earlier. I love the Arctic tumblers because I'm one of those guys, like, I don't know if you've ever drank out of like a Yeti or something else that just has metal on the inside. It can kind of make your coffee taste like a penny. You got like that coppery taste. Yeah. What Arctic has, so they've got these amazing tumblers, but they're ceramic lined. So it tastes like you're drinking out of your favorite ceramic mug, but it's your tumbler. And so anyway, yeah, I love the product. We've been selling a lot of drinkware for Arctic online, but yeah, check it out. If you don't like the penny taste in your coffee, check out Arctic. Yeah,
I love that. Okay. And Brad, you also mentioned then I heard that OMG Commerce is about 40 people big. That's the size of your whole team.
Yep, that is correct. Yep, and so we're mostly U.S. based, a couple of overseas team members. Kind of stretch coast to coast. I'm right in the center of the U.S., Springfield, Missouri. That's where our offices are. Home of Bass Pro Shops, home of O'Reilly Automotive, to name a few. But yeah, we're all over.
Bass Pro Shop because it takes me way back. I love that store. Oh my goodness, I love.
Yeah, so the flagship, so the original Bass Pro store, now like the flagship store here in Springfield, Missouri. The founder of Bass Pro Shops lives here. So yeah, kind of one of our claims to fame.
That's amazing. And okay, Brett, so now that you're 40 people big in the company as a whole, since 2010 until now, how did you expand, and when did you understand that you needed more help and that you needed more team members in order to grow your operation?
Yeah, such a good question. I've talked to a lot of small business owners and talked about kind of you enter this no man's land where you're growing and you're so busy that you need help, but your revenues don't quite justify paying for that help. And so that you can kind of get stuck in this window. And really, the best way to get through is just to power through, just, long nights and weekends and power through. Making those first hires so critical for us. It was me and my co-founder. And so we needed administrative support and people to we're both like creative idea guys selling, creating ads, things like that. We needed someone to ground us and keep us focused and organized. And so those were our first hires.
Okay.
We've had lots of ups and downs and lots of lessons learned. I will say we've never had a year where we lost money. We've always been profitable. We actually exploded kind of through the COVID years. Probably no surprise there. I mean, the first part of COVID was really, really bad because everybody pulled back. But then we were like, oh, wait a minute. Everybody's buying online. We serve e-commerce companies. So then our clients started to experience explosive growth, and we helped fuel that. And so we expanded. We expanded to like between 60 and 70 team members during the peak of COVID. It was actually too many. And so we learned a lesson there where like growth doesn't happen forever. And we didn't think as critically about our growth as we should. We just kind of hired. I think secretly I had this competitive side of me of like, I wanted a bigger team. I wanted to talk about the number of people that we had. I wanted to talk about top line and things like that.
Okay.
And so we realized like through that, we need to just have a lean team where we're fueled for growth, where we're profitable. And so that's what we've been focusing on kind of since then. So a lot of the big agencies, good agencies that I know in the space had kind of that correction, whether it was in 22, 23, 24. For us, it was in 24 to kind of right size and say, okay, let's get profitable. And we also found the same with D2C brands, because D2C brands through COVID, it was like, I don't know, we're making money somewhere. Just keep spending, grow. We'll figure out profit later. And I think there was a correction there and a correction with agencies as well.
Of course. And I think that also came with like the COVID and the pandemic bubble, and the fact that everybody was at home and remote work was the whole trend
Had
at
stimulus
that moment.
checks
So
flowing, like we're just buying stuff online, retail therapy at work, like kind of weird about everything that's going on. And we just buy stuff online. Yeah. So it was the golden era of e-commerce, unsustainable, but it was it helped propel a lot of brands and agencies. And so
that's
yeah, we
something
rode
that
that
I totally agree with that, because I've learned from a bunch of brands that I've talked to that they also started a bit before COVID, but it was usually an online service or a certain product that they offered that was e-commerce, and they really rode on the coattails of what the COVID bubble provided. And once it exploded, they were able to stay afloat just because they had to, like you did, optimize their costs and make sure they remain profitable. But now we're talking, that was like what, 5 years ago already, and they're still here. So something
Yeah,
good
yeah,
was
and I
done.
think a lot of brands, a lot of agencies didn't make it right when that correction happened, when things kind of came back to earth and came back to normal, and brands started saying, "Wait a minute, we need to make EBITDA, right? We need to make profit. Help us architect that." Some agencies weren't ready for that. Some brand teams weren't ready for that. We were, and so we were able to really kind of retool, get lean ourselves, and then serve clients in a way that was sustainable for them and for us.
And Brett, I also would love to know is, since 2010, because I won't forget that day because it's been a while. Since 2010, you started, and you weren't specifically specialized in omnichannels and YouTube at the beginning, or were you already set, and did you know in your own mind that you just wanted to do YouTube?
No, did not know we wanted to do YouTube. In fact, YouTube wasn't really even on our radar at all at that point. And I think this is maybe some advice to somebody that's just starting, or they're building a brand or whatever, building a service-based companies for sure. We knew some of the things we wanted to do. We believed in search engine marketing. We knew that was really powerful, but we also kind of liked good website design, websites that convert. And in the early days of OMG, we experimented with a lot of things. We found we were terrible at building websites, like horrible, awful, like the worst. So we did a couple projects where we are pulling the plug on that thing, but we kind of had to try it to know. Tried a few other things. We found, wow, we're really good at search. So we could do lots of things, or we can just become world-class in search. That's what we did. I learned Google Shopping, had a couple e-commerce clients. I was like, wow, Google Shopping is cool. I was on a podcast kind of like this, talking about Google Shopping, and I was talking about this guide that I was creating to crack the code on Google Shopping. And oddly enough, somebody from Shopify was listening to that podcast, and they reached out to me and they said, "Hey, we'd like to partner with you on that guide." And so this would have been 2014, something like that, 15. And so I retooled this guide on how to make Google Shopping work. Shopify published it. It was a huge win for us, huge credibility booster, drove new clients for us, things like that. So it's one of those just like, hey, I'm working, I'm declaring things, I'm on podcasts, we're doing good work, and this opportunity opened up. And so started speaking on stages about Google Shopping. But anyway, so focused on search traffic. Once we got really, really good at that, built a team, then we felt like, okay, now we can expand. Now we can expand to these other channels that we believe will work. YouTube was actually pretty early on because of my TV background. I was like, wait a minute, YouTube is sort of like TV and search like coming together, you know? And so we did YouTube starting in 2016, 2017, so it's pretty early on. Offer Meta, we love Amazon, right? We had clients asking us about Amazon growth because we handle all their Google search, and they're like, can't you run our Amazon ads? And so big believers in good Amazon strategy. I think you can build a brand there. You can also lose your shirt there or just ruin your happiness by being there. But you can also really grow by being on Amazon. And so we got full service Amazon as well. But we got really, really good at search, built a team, and then expanded from there. And so that's kind of how we built it.
And Brett, I also want to ask about, I believe it's trending. It'll always be trending for a while, but I've heard less and less of it each time because there hasn't been like that much of an evolution right now. I bet something's new to come. But how are you guys leveraging AI? Like, do you have that in your back pocket to help you optimize times and efficiency for your team? Or do you have any weird or different ways that you're leveraging AI to help you out?
Totally. Yeah, I am a big believer in AI. We've invested in it as a company. We've led our team through some training there. I do believe that, a good, smart team, a talented human plus AI is going to beat just a talented human on their own. I don't believe, at least for now, that the AI is completely taking over in terms of marketing and business and creative and stuff like that. We'll see. Certainly within the realm of possibility. Maybe we're all replaced and all just sitting at home or sitting on the beach and the machines are running everything. I don't really see that in the immediate future. But what we're doing, how we're using it in a few ways, obviously I use it for like contract review and some stuff that's just mind numbing, or like, hey, here's this version of a contract, here's that version of a contract. Show me what's different. Like, show me. So like easy things like that. We record all of our calls, internal, external. We use AI. We use Fathom. We use a mix of Claude and ChatGPT to come up with action plans and like executive summaries from those. We can take a collection of client calls and really build some interesting, marketing reports from those calls using AI. So it's leveraging time in that capacity. We've kind of done something. I'll talk about two things that are kind of unique or kind of new. We just built this tool, and it still needs a little bit of work, but it's called the Client Sentiment Tracker. And so we get a lot of clients, like 80 clients across a couple different categories and things like that. But with those clients, our client teams are communicating with them on Slack. They're talking over email. And they have a weekly or bi-weekly or monthly call, kind of depending on the preferred client cadence. We have reporting dashboards. There's numbers in Google Ads and Meta and other places. And so how do you make sense of all that to see, is this client happy? Are things trending in the right direction? Is the client maybe losing some happiness or trending in the opposite direction? So we got this sentiment tracker that tracks daily, looking at Slack, email, call recordings, reporting dashboards, and it gives every client a score on this is the happiness or the satisfaction of this client. Are they neutral, positive, negative? How is it trending? Are we seeing silence across channels? It could be happy silence, or is this silence that we should be concerned about because maybe it's on the heels of a couple negative calls? Anyway, it's kind of cool. It's like ingesting all this data from all these points, bringing it into a dashboard that I can look at, that executive leadership can look at, the client teams can look at. And so that's kind of a fun thing. We're now creating several different iterations, or we're iterating and improving that, but that's kind of fun. It's our client sentiment tracker. And then another way we look at it is we got really clear philosophies on good YouTube ads. Like, what does a good YouTube ad need to have? Here are some frameworks for successful ads. Here's how we do like UGC mashups. And then we can take scripts or transcripts from raw UGC video, client videos, things like that, dump those again into, we're using Claude quite a bit for this, into a Claude project. And Claude's going to be able to say, hey, based on what we see here, here's some new edits, some new mashups, some new examples, some new things that you can pull together based on your frameworks, based on what's worked in the past, and based on what this client has right now. And so almost never does that just create something where it's like, oh, this is perfect, let's run with it. But it certainly can comb through a lot of information and make the process of getting a human editor to work on things much smoother. And eventually, I think some of that could be fully automated. And so we're working pretty hard on that as well.
Wow, that like the client sentiment tracker is so cool. Like it really feels like you can really tackle a possible churn before it actually happens, and that way you can make sure you have everybody happy, and that's super important.
Exactly, yeah, and like sentiment can change quickly, right? You can be on top of the world, smashing it for a client, have a couple of missteps, and suddenly the game has changed. And so you need to be able to see that, know that, and look at it in a fairly objective way, right? The machine's just looking at all the data based on what you're telling it, and it's saying, here's what I see. And so then with that, that being visible across leadership, client teams, now we can action on things quicker and have really our finger on the pulse across the entire agency all the time.
Of course. No, and that's what I've also felt that people are using AI for the most. And it's like you do have AI that works with those mundane tasks that it's not like nobody wants to do them, but it takes too long for a person to do. So it's better to have the AI run it and just analyze it, like the contracts and everything like that. But then when it has to digest so much data so constantly, then that's when the client sentiment tracker helped by AI really works out, because it's telling you every day how the clients are feeling, right? It just does like a summarization of how it's going.
And then one last tool I'll mention, because this is one that, as I mentioned, to clients and friends, not as many people are using. It's called NotebookLM. It's a Google tool. Not sure if you're using it, but what we like to do with it, basically you can give NotebookLM a variety of sources. It could be a web page, could be a YouTube video, could be a PDF or whatever. But we use it for, let's say, like, starting a year and a half ago, incrementality became a big thing, right? And we're huge believers in incrementality. But some members of our team were kind of new to it. So I found a bunch of trusted YouTube videos from people that I know that are really good at explaining incrementality. You dump those YouTube videos into NotebookLM. NotebookLM then will do a few things with that. It'll consolidate. It'll create like a mind map of those concepts. It can create quizzes and tests to like help you really learn and explore this topic. Now, when you have all those videos in a NotebookLM, you can query it and ask whatever kind of question you want to ask. Really useful. Or maybe you've got a scenario, and actually I think we did this with incrementality as a topic. We had some YouTube videos, some resources from Google, and then like a call recording. And you can just put it all into NotebookLM, and now this becomes a resource that you can use and that the team can share as well.
And Brett, another question I do have is in terms of then the clients you have. You told me you love retail brands, omni-channel brands. What would be the minimum requirements for somebody or a customer to be able to work with you guys? Because I'm not sure if anybody can use your services or what you offer, but what would that look like?
Yeah, so I mean, we worked with some really big brands like Native and Mando and Arctic and Organifi. Dude Wipes did a big campaign for Dude Wipes, which was super fun. And so work with some big brands like that. We also work with some up and coming D2C e-commerce brands that you might not know as well. We really specialize in kind of that higher 7-figure, but 8 and 9-figure retail brands. That's kind of our sweet spot. Generally, these are brands that are spending $100,000 a month or more across their media channels online. That's where we feel like we can really add fuel to the fire. We can accelerate growth for those brands. So sweet spot is really low 8 to 9-figure brands spending more than $100K a month on digital ads. But we do work with some brands that are in that mid 7 or high 7-figure a year range. If it's the right brand, like it's cool product, got some traction, got some unique positioning, we feel like it's got all the right components to be able to scale using kind of Google, YouTube, Meta, and Amazon. But yeah, that's kind of where we focus.
Nice, nice. No, that's why I asked, because I know that it's not easy to just bring a brand from zero and make it just the best brand ever, but you got to get the proper tools to make your method work. So that's totally understandable. And Brett, I'm noticing that we're almost at time, but before I do finish and close up the episode, I did want to give you the chance to let anybody who's listening, or maybe a brand who does match the requirements that you just mentioned, how would they go about contacting you, seeing if OMG Commerce is a fit for what they need or anything like that?
Yeah, it's a great call out. Would love to chat kind of regardless if you think hey, maybe I'm a good fit, maybe I'm right on the borderline. Would love to still chat. So best way to reach out is omgcommerce.com. Click on the Let's Talk button. You can kind of fill out a short form there. That leads into a strategic conversation with someone on our team. It's really a senior person on our team. And so that's the best way to kind of get the ball rolling. We also, have a podcast called E-Commerce Evolution, so check that out. We're one of the very few agencies, we do events at Google and YouTube offices fairly regularly. So this year we're doing an event in Los Angeles on February 20th. We're doing an event in July in New York City. Going to be big brands kind of sharing the stage with us. So in LA, it's going to be one of our buddies from Groons, which I think was one of the fastest D2C brands to get to a $500 million valuation. We've got Connor from The Ridge, friend of mine, awesome brand. He's speaking. I'm speaking. My buddy Jacques Spitzer from Raindrop is speaking.
Okay.
One of our favorite creative partners. And so we'll be teaching people how to scale with YouTube ads. So that's an invite only, or you got to be approved to attend. It is free, but it's at the Google LA offices. We got one coming up in New York in July. So you can also reach out, ping me about that. Say, hey, how can I get details on those events as well? But depending if you're listening this way in the future, we probably got an event coming up as well. And so that's always happening. But yeah, omgcommerce.com. You can follow me on LinkedIn and on X. I'm a little more active on LinkedIn. But yeah, those are the best ways.
Okay, amazing. So anybody who is interested, or if you're not sure if it's a proper fit, you heard it here first, omgcommerce.com, and just follow the prompts on the website. That will make sure to get you in contact with somebody from Brett's team. But with that said, Brett, thank you so much, man, for hopping on the show, for sharing your insight. It really has been super interesting. And I really do hope that OMG Commerce keeps on growing and you keep on amassing a huge client base so that you can just keep on shredding it.
Love it, man. Love it. Keep up the good work. Awesome podcast. Awesome interview. Really appreciate it.
Appreciate it, man. And to anybody who's here still with us, thank you so much for staying on, for listening to the shows that we put out, and for learning with us about the different industries that we're talking to and all the guests that we are having on. So with that said, thank you very much and have a good one.